I am in a car with my good friend Cynthia Globe from Florida, and we're doing a road trip across Saudi Arabia right now. And right now we have 4 or 5 hours of drive out to the Red Sea, and we started obviously chatting away about travel and thought, why not start recording? So Cynthia, you were kind of going, would you rather this or that? So let's see if we can get some of this on tape.
Absolutely. Let's play the game.
Let's play the game.
Would you rather A or B?
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Hi guys, I came across a recording from the car when I was driving across the Saudi desert with Cynthia Rignanesi, who calls herself Cynthia Globe because she travels so much. In fact, Saudi Arabia is her country number 124. She's a lawyer from Florida and has her own law firm, which allows her to take a lot of time to travel the globe. And this episode comes out just a few days before we meet again for another epic journey of 4 African countries: Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Sao Tome and Principe. But that's another story. In this one, we play a game as we're driving across Saudi Arabia, trying to avoid hitting one of the many camels who walk across the road from time to time, and the speed bumps. Oh my God, the speed bumps. They just come out of nowhere without any warning. The game basically goes like this. We take turn asking simple, would you rather A or B questions. And here they are, so you can start thinking what you would answer yourself. Would you rather go scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, or do the Rickshaw Challenge, driving a tuk-tuk yourself for 10 days in India? Would you rather spend a weekend on the 7-star luxury hotel Burj Al Arab in Dubai, or in a glamping tent in the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania? Would you rather ride a camel or an ostrich? Would you rather do the Trans-Siberian Railroad or go dog sledding in eastern Greenland? But we start with polar opposites, literally. That's in a few seconds. My name is Palabo. Welcome to a bonus episode of the Radio Vagabond.
This is the Radio Vagabond.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. Whenever you need a hotel anywhere in the world, go to Hotels25.com. That would get you the best price. Hotels25.com searches a bunch of the biggest hotel sites in one simple search. Hotels25.com.
Okay, let's start with polar extremes.
Okay.
If you have to choose one, would you go to the Arctic or the Antarctic?
For that one, I would say Antarctic. It's really a bucket list item. Yeah, I would say Antarctic. South Pole.
I knew you would.
Yeah. And you've done both?
Yes, I was very grateful to have the opportunity to click off a big bucket list item for me. I not only wanted to do both polar regions, but I wanted to do them within the same year. I did it within 7 months in 2018 to 2019, obviously hitting summer in both places because it's impossible. Well, I shouldn't say impossible. It's impossible for a normal tourist to go in winter. So I went in late November, early December to the Antarctic region, hitting the peninsula from South America.
Yeah, and we covered that in the actual episode with you, where you told a lot of stories about the sleeping arrangements and the toilet arrangements and all of that, yeah. And then later you went to the North Pole.
Exactly. 7 months later, I went during the Northern Hemisphere summer in July to what's called the Franz Josef Land, which is the Russian High Arctic, which had opened up just 2 seasons before I went in 2019.
So what was that like?
So if I had to choose, I would choose exactly the way you did. I would choose Antarctica over the Arctic. Something about the mountains in Antarctica are just so phenomenal. It makes Switzerland look like an anthill.
Really?
Yeah, they're just spectacular.
You're kidding.
No, they are the largest mountains in the world when measured from the bottom up. So it's the highest, driest, windiest, coldest continent on the planet.
Wow.
To compare that, the Arctic looks completely differently. You still, of course, have mountains and glaciers and ice fields, but everything is what I would describe as a tabletop mountain. There's no pointy mountains there. So it looks quite similar no matter where you are, at least in the Russian High Arctic. I believe other parts of the Arctic have other geography, but in the Russian High Arctic it looks essentially the same with these tabletop mountains. And they're amazing, and the animal life is amazing, but not as much of a wow factor as the Antarctic Peninsula.
Is it? I know that it's possible to get to Antarctica, and it's super expensive. But how's the deal? Do you go from Canada, or is it expensive? The Arctic.
So the Arctic trip you have to do on an expedition, just like the Antarctic ones. Although now I understand they are running a few regular cruise ships through Antarctica the last couple of years. But on a regular cruise ship, anything with more than 100 people, you are not allowed to touch the peninsula. And for me, any place I go, I must actually have an experience on the land. So if I just cruised through Antarctica, that wouldn't count for me. So instead I did expeditions to both places. I would highly recommend both companies. I traveled with Quark on the Antarctic expedition and Poseidon on the Arctic expedition.
Yeah.
And I think you were primarily asking about the Arctic one, how you go there. Alrighty. So, yeah, it's a little complicated. So you leave Florida, and you fly to Europe, then you fly to Oslo. From Oslo, I have a friend there, so I stayed in Oslo a couple days, had a nice time seeing my friend. Then you get on another plane, and you fly about, 8 hours due north. Yeah, about, to a place called Svalbard.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool spot.
Svalbard.
So Svalbard only has 2,000 residents, but they have an airport. One flight a day, mostly. Some days not. And then from there, you get on a ship, and you spend 2 weeks on a ship that has the capacity to go through icebergs, and usually has naturalists and marine biologists and professional photographers. You'll have a really amazing team of, I don't remember how many, at least 20 kind of experts on board on an expedition ship. And then, of course, quite a few crew to run a very, very complicated travel. We had an amazing Russian captain, which is pretty much what you want to have in the Russian High Arctic. You want a guy who can drive through icebergs in his sleep. Amazing captain, and unlike regular cruise ships.
Oh, there's a camel. Camel walking on the road here. Yeah, okay.
He was going the wrong direction. We should stop and give him a ticket.
Speaking about icebergs, and there's a camel. Okay.
Oh, and 12 more on the left.
Oh, wow.
Only 2 colors there, not the black ones. Oh, we digress. So on these expedition trips, if people have not done an expedition trip, it's very, very different from a regular cruise. You're on a very small ship, and the ship basically doesn't dock. Like on a regular cruise ship, every day you're going to get off for 8 to 10 hours and have experiences on the land. In an expedition ship, you're still going to get off. You're going to get off morning and afternoon, weather and conditions permitting. And you'll get off in a Zodiac, which is a large black inflatable boat that has a rather large motor on the back, and one of the crew will serve as the driver of that.
You did this Zodiac thing that in Antarctica as well, right?
Both places, yes. It's the best way to do the expedition trips, the only way that I know of.
Yeah. Is it equally expensive as going to Antarctica?
Yes, they're relatively the same. Yeah. The trips are very complicated to do. The ships have to be either icebreakers or ice enhanced. Everything has to be brought from a far distance. It's very expensive to run one of these things. It's really an amazing operation that we can go to these places that otherwise many people have died trying to go to without modern equipment.
And speaking of Antarctica, you told me the other day that you've heard of a cruise that is taking a long time and cost a ton of money. Tell me a little bit about that again.
Yeah, big bucket list item for me, money and time permitting. The main way to go to Antarctica is to go to South America, cross the Drake Passage, one of the 5 worst passages in the world, and that brings you to the Antarctic Peninsula. Even though that passage is horrible, it is the easiest, closest way to get to Antarctica because South America sticks down, and what is basically the round continent of Antarctica has a peninsula that sticks up, basically pointing at South America.
Yeah.
So you're only usually about 2.5 days in the Drake Passage to make that crossing. So the only other way to go is to go to kind of imagine between Australia and New Zealand. And if you go south from there, you get to where the Ross Sea is, which is not really a sea, it's just a huge area of ice in Antarctica. That's where most of the scientific and research bases are. McMurdo being the largest one, that's the United States base there. And the second largest one is the Russian base. They're all over there. So you can do that by ship, but you're, I want to say, 5 or 6 days making that crossing each way. So instead, they have started, quite rarely because it's very long and very expensive, but there are a few trips now that you can fly to the south of South America. You cross the Drake, you end up at the Antarctic Peninsula, and then you round the entire, let's call it northern, that's a little complicated at the South Pole, but let's call it the northern shore of half of Antarctica.
Every part of it is northern shore.
Exactly, yeah, it's a little complicated.
You circumnavigate and you are only on the northern shore.
So you kind of, you circumnavigate. There's a good word choice. You circumnavigate between essentially South America on that side of Antarctica and Australia on the other side. It takes 33 days to make that trip. My understanding is the scenery is spectacular, and very, very few people, a handful of people will have done that. There will have been like way more people in outer space than will have done that trip.
Yeah. Do you know what the price tag is?
Yes, it's $33,000 US starting point.
Ouch.
Without flights or anything else.
Yeah, without flights, yeah. Oh, wow. I met Cynthia in Florida for the first time when I was there in 2021, and you might remember the episode where we had a conversation about how she got into collecting passport stamps. If not, go back and listen to that one too. She's got some interesting stories, and one of them is about her trip to Antarctica.
Travel is possible at any age. Your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it. This is the Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
Okay, it's my turn?
Yes.
Okay, I have 2 of my bucket list items, so I really would have a hard time answering this myself, but I'm gonna throw it out to you. Scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef or the Rickshaw Challenge in India? You know what the Rickshaw Challenge is? So you get in a tuk-tuk and for 10 days you go not super far, maybe like 100 kilometers, and take a selfie in front of this thing, and then you meet with the group at night. But you're in your own tuk-tuk and you're driving it yourself. And that takes place in many places around the world, but this one I'm talking about is in the southern part of India. So would you rather tuk-tuk challenge, outer rickshaw challenge, or scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef?
I gotta pick the tuk-tuk challenge for multiple reasons. I like driving cool stuff, and I've got to drive some cool stuff, but I've never driven a tuk-tuk, so I want to do that. And 10 days of adventure? That sounds just amazing to me. I actually downloaded the Survivor application. Do you guys have that in Denmark?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We do.
Yeah, there's a version of that where it's not really quite like Survivor, but it's where you go point to point, competing against other teams, so it's the same kind of reality TV, but you're going.
I think I've seen that.
And you have to get there fastest.
Yeah.
They give you money, and you can get there any way you can. Tuk-tuk or plane or hire a taxi and whatever. You just got to get to this next point. And then when you get to that point, then you get another clue, and you keep going until you finish the race up.
Yeah. Amazing race. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that's so great. But answering this, it's not because you haven't done scuba diving.
No, but if I had to choose, it's an either or. I want to dive the Great Barrier Reef, don't get me wrong, but if I had to choose, I'll take 10 days of adventuring over 4 hours of swimming.
But I'm a little bit surprised because I remember you talking about your trip to India. That wasn't your favorite.
That's true. India was not my favorite country. It's a very complicated country to travel in. Very complicated, very large. Has logistic issues for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I tell every true traveler they should still go to India, but it's one of the few countries I would tell people that they should just book a tour and let someone take the logistic hassles out of the trip.
Yeah.
Because there will be many, many, many of them.
So what you're saying is that I should never go on the tuk-tuk, the auto rickshaw challenge without you.
Absolutely
That's
true.
What I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. And having been driving, I feel that you're okay with my driving as well. And
Hey, we've gotten out of a few sand pits together this trip. Including one that there was a skull next to. That one was a little weird. I was like, I hope our skulls don't show up next to
it. You're listening to the Radio Vagabond podcast. If you're curious about his looks, check out the Radio Vagabond on TikTok or Instagram. Just remember what curiosity did to the cat.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, here you go. You get a weekend, 2-night, free, all-expense-paid trip. You have 2 choices on where you can go. Your 2 choices are Burj Al Arab, a 7-star, fantastic sail-shaped skyscraper building in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, or luxury tented safari in the Serengeti in Tanzania. Which would you pick? 7 stars or tent with lions after you?
So the tent is kind of it's glamping.
It is glamping, but a lion could still get you.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a hard one. Because if you just said a 5-star hotel, I'll choose the tent anytime. But the Al Arab, and the normally it's only 5 stars, but they just top it with 7 stars.
In 800
So
meters, turn right to stay on Route 328.
yeah, we're turning right in 800 meters. So, oh my God, if somebody wanted to give me a weekend in Al Arab, probably with a private butler.
Oh, definitely. Let's put a butler in, and that 24-karat coffee where they put the 24-karat gold on the coffee.
Yeah, I had that in Abu Dhabi.
There you go. Yeah, that's part of your package
Turn
if you
right to
go.
stay on Route 328.
Give me just a few seconds to think of that. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels around the world.
Hotels25.com.
And we're back. Well, even with the butler thrown in, I would choose the glamping in Serengeti.
Good choice. I think I would as well. You can stay in a fancy hotel many parts of the world.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny that Cynthia would ask me this when we were in Saudi Arabia in December 2021, because just a few weeks later, I did exactly that, go glamping in a luxury tent close to lions. Well, not in Serengeti in Tanzania, but just across the border in Masai Mara National Park in Kenya.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
So, you have 2 choices. You get to ride an exotic animal, and there will be a person to help you ride the exotic animal. So, it's not like you have to lasso it out in the wild or something. So, are you ready for your animal choices?
I am so ready.
Okay. You can choose to ride either a camel with 2 humps, or an ostrich. Which do you choose? The 2-humped camel or the ostrich?
First of all, is it even possible to ride an ostrich?
It is, and I've done it.
No kidding.
It is possible
Where did you do that?
in a place called Oddshoorn, the ostrich capital of the world.
I've been there.
Yes.
I've been to the ostrich place as well.
in South Africa.
Exactly. Yeah, not that far away from Cape Town and the Garden Route. I drove there from Cape Town, and it was high on my list. But I did not see anybody riding the ostriches.
You didn't find anybody as crazy as me there?
No.
Yeah. It's
well, for me, I'm a big guy. I think it'll take quite a big ostrich.
Ostriches are big.
Yeah, they are. But are they okay with this? Is this something that is okay? I know a camel, it's okay to ride a camel. Not an elephant, but an ostrich?
I'm pretty sure the bird didn't like that I rode it. Let's put it that way.
Uh-huh.
It takes 3 guys and a rider, at least for a novice rider. The locals actually race these things, but the birds don't like it. So what they do, 3 guys will go and they will catch an ostrich, and then they have a special, I'm going to call it a chute for lack of a better word. It's a wooden triangular structure, and they bring the ostrich into that, and they cover the ostrich's head so it calms down, kind of like when you put blinders on a horse. It's calmer because it can't see around. So the guys put the ostrich into this wooden chute, and then I climbed up on the side of this triangular wooden chute, and then you sit on the back of the ostrich. Would you like to know if there's a saddle?
Is there a saddle?
What an excellent question, Belebo. I want you to guess. Is there a saddle? Is there no saddle?
I would say it's got to be some kind of saddle. I don't really see how it would look, but there's got to be some kind of stuff.
Oh, heck no. You ride bareback on an ostrich.
Wow.
So here's what this looks like. So the ostrich body is actually shaped like an ostrich egg. It's a great big oval shape. It's like an ostrich egg is 24 times the size of a chicken egg. So that's how big it is. And then, of course, the ostrich body is, well, really massive. But it has that exact same shape. So when you sit on its back and you slide slightly forward, imagine you're on the front of a huge egg. So you can sit there, and then they will quite naturally raise their wings. So you put your legs underneath each wing, and then you hold on to the wings, because there is no harness or anything like you would have with a horse, which that would make this so much easier to do. But no, so no saddle, no harness, just you and the ostrich.
Are you holding on to the neck?
No, you can't touch the neck. No, you have to hold on to the wings.
Oh.
Yeah, you hold on to the wings. So your legs are under the wings, and you're holding on to the wings, and your bum is on the ostrich's back, but towards the front. So you're slightly sloping. I mean, you didn't feel like you were going to fall forward.
And then it goes, Mimi.
Yeah, as soon as they take the blinders off, it tries to throw you.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. It's not so happy you're on there. Should you choose to do this, do you want to know the one question you should be sure to ask the guys before you start
please.
this?
Yeah.
Because there's a question you want to ask. You want to ask, how do I get off? This is an important question.
How do you get off?
Excellent question.
Thank you.
So glad you asked. So, by the way, you are in a paddock, so they're not like running wild. You're in a paddock, so they can't actually run away with you.
To Namibia.
Yes, exactly. So my ride, I doubt, lasted 60 seconds. It's a very fast 60 seconds as it races across this paddock trying to throw you. And as you get, once you've had your adrenaline high, the guys kind of run, I want to say with you, but it's pretty fast. And I don't really remember exactly where they were. I was a little distracted. I'm riding an ostrich. So, but what you do is when you're ready to get off, you just kind of look and you make sure one of the guys is close to you. And then you just let go and you fall off the back and one of the guys catches you.
Oh.
Now, if you're really good with the ostriches, which I was not, but these guys actually do ride these ostriches. They do races and everything in them. And they can, when they're holding these wings, they can make the ostrich go left or right depending on how they pull on the wings. The ostriches aren't per se trained, but they will just quite naturally, if you pull on one wing going to the left, they will pull towards the left. So you could say, if you were good at this, you could race them and you could essentially run a track with them, with other animals.
That is interesting. That's something I'd like to see. Yeah.
That video.
Yeah. But I would go for the ostrich. I've done the camel, and it's it's okay. I'm on a camel, but that's it. Ostrich for me, if they can find one that's big enough.
I think you definitely should. I don't know. I've ridden a couple of camels in a few countries, and it's okay, but it's not really very comfortable. Like, I don't actually... I can't imagine hundreds of years ago trying to cross a desert on a camel. I mean, I get the practical part of it, but man, it would not be nearly as comfortable as our little four-door sedan that we have.
I have to get serious for a bit now, after having fun about the thrill of riding an ostrich, because according to PETA UK, it is cruel to ride an ostrich. PETA stands for the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. In an article that I linked to in the notes section, they say that an ostrich skeleton is not designed to support a human's weight, and this practice is likely to harm the physiology of the animals. I'm not saying this to make Cynthia sound like a horrible person, which she is not. We all live and learn, like the time I went swimming with dolphins in captivity in the Bahamas and later found out that you should not support places where they keep and train dolphins in captivity. Go listen to that one too if you want to hear more. And now that I was on the PETA website, another article called Holiday Attractions You Need to Avoid, they also say, please never ride an elephant, a horse, a donkey, a camel, or any other animal at a tourist attraction. Specifically when it comes to camel riding, they say that camels are intelligent, sensitive animals who suffer when forced to give rides to tourists. In some parts of the world, these regal animals are being beaten bloody with sticks before being sold to the tourism industry. They are used for rides in the blistering heat. They are denied access to food, water, and shade. I'm not saying that this happens everywhere, but maybe, so make your own choices. I had no idea when I've ridden camels in Morocco and in the Dubai desert. Now, I don't think I'll ever do that again. Okay, I have one for you. Also two really, really cool things and something I would love to do, both of them. Would you rather do the Trans-Siberian Railroad or go sledding in eastern Greenland?
Oh, that's easy. Greenland.
Quick pause here. As mentioned, this was recorded in December 2021, before the Russians invaded Ukraine. Obviously, none of us would go to Russia right now to do the Trans-Siberian Railroad. Cynthia, you were saying?
Oh, that's easy. Greenland.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done it. Greenland is very high on my list. I would like to spend some extended time. My understanding is one side of Greenland is very much known for the nature, and the other side is very much known for the native population and culture. And I understand it's like traveling to two countries. You realize I say that loosely, but the experience is very different, as if it was two countries.
Yeah.
So you can get two very rich and diverse experiences in Greenland. So that's very high on my list to go to Greenland.
Yeah. I've been to Greenland twice, but only on the west coast where the bigger cities, towns are. I've been to the capital Nuuk twice, and I've been to Sisimiut, which is north of the Arctic Circle.
And why did you go that far north? Was it for Northern Lights?
Actually, there are Northern Lights in Nuuk as well. I have not seen it. When I got there, I had because of the time difference from where I was dead tired at 9 o'clock at night. I just had dinner with my local friend there and went back to the place I was staying and fell asleep at 9 o'clock because in my mind it was like 1 in the morning. So I woke up the next day, saw a text message from him that he'd sent at 9:30 where he said, "Get outside now, the Northern Lights is here." And I was like, oh no, because I really wanted to see it. And so no, I haven't seen the Northern Light. The reason I went to Sisimiut was for work. I was teaching at a radio station in Sisimiut. Yeah, but when I ask about the eastern part, because I've not been there, I heard about from when I did the Lego Art podcast about the world map. One of the guests we had on was Malaysian-born Wani Baumgartner, and she'd been on an epic trip to eastern Greenland. That it is so quiet, it is so clear that you can see as far as the eye can see, and it was just such an incredible experience when she told about it. So I really want to do that. Let me just play a little clip from the Lego Art World Map interview I was talking about. This is Wani Baumgartner talking about her trip to eastern Greenland. I produced this for the Lego Group, and it's hosted by Andrea Collins.
What's special about this place is certainly the remoteness. What I really thought was special about it is the fact that I could see as far as my eye could see. Hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, surely, as far as the eye can see. And it was just white, because in the summer, the location of Ittoqqortoormiit, the village, is right by the edge of the water, but obviously it was all white. There was this huge, massive, giant iceberg stuck right there in the middle of all this whiteness. And when we took a snowmobile ride out, we said, can we drive to that huge giant iceberg? And the guy said, when everything is white, you think it's closer to you than it actually is, but it is very, very far. So not a good idea. Right, okay. And literally there's 300 people in this village. The only sounds you hear sometimes is when somebody's out on your snowmobile. Perhaps if the husky dogs come back from wherever they were during the day, then you hear them barking. Otherwise, literally, there's nothing to hear. There's no sound pollution.
Did you see the Northern Lights when you were there?
Yes, that was remarkable. So I have always wanted to see the Northern Lights, and in Ittoqqortoormiit, believe it or not, it's just like you don't even have to go anywhere. You can see it from your living room window. You can see it from your bedroom window. You don't have to go out to chase the Northern Lights because there's no light pollution. There's so little people. There's nothing, So that was incredibly special. And in the local Greenlandic language, the word for Northern Lights means the ones who play ball. And it's because it swirls and moves, and to be able to have seen that, it changed during the night, but when it was at its most active, it moved at such remarkable speeds that I was screaming like a crazy person outside in this cold -30 Celsius weather. Yeah. Wow, what an experience.
In the Lego Art podcast about the world map, we also speak to some other amazing world travelers like Thor Petersen, Dana Stacy, and Ernest White III. If you want to hear the whole thing, go to lego.com/art and then click on the world map.
I have more interest in the eastern side than in the western side myself, just because I understand they're very different experiences.
Yeah, and so hard to get to.
yes. There are boat trips along there.
But the question was also about the Trans-Siberian Railroad. You have no interest in that?
No interest would be an understatement, but a lot of it is unfortunately over not very exciting terrain. I would be quite interested in the very far west, and I would be quite interested in the very far east. But in between, I don't have that much interest, and it's a very long run.
I know of a train that goes in the southern half of Africa, and they're really luxurious trains. So,
Blue train.
no, not that one. This one goes to many different countries, including Congo. Actually, it goes through Congo as well. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's called the Rojas trains, and it's super, super luxury. It's the kind of trains where you would change for dinner.
So $1,000 a US a night, like the Blue train?
A lot. Yeah. I really want to do that.
How long a run is it from start to finish?
They got many different routes, so yeah.
Interesting. I've got to Google that. I don't have familiarity with that.
I will put the link in the show notes to this episode, so you just go there, radiovagabond.com, and then click on the link. Yeah, I want to do both of them. I know that Trans-Siberian is long, and I also know that you don't necessarily need to do all of it, but it's something that's on my list, absolutely. Well, this was fun.
It's always fun to be on the radio with you, Pele-Bo.
Absolutely, this was fun. I'll see if I can persuade Cynthia to do another one when we're traveling through Africa very soon. The luxury train in southern Africa I was talking about is called Rovos. Go to rovos.com and see more about that. This episode was supported in part by Hotels25.com, a website that helps you find the best deals on hotel rooms, guest houses, and hostels around the world. I'm not sure exactly when the next episodes from Saudi Arabia is going to come out. See if I can make time to do a bit of work on those as I'm traveling through Africa. My name is Pele-Bo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.
Radio Vagabond.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.